Happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem here on the 23rd of November here. If you don't want to hear about frigid Thanksgiving and more snow and the polar vortex, then you don't want to listen to the first few minutes of today's update here. But again, this might send shivers down some of you. 32 days until Christmas. Yikes. I'm in a little panic mode myself. Thought we'd real quick look at Thanksgiving weekend, and then we'll get into the snow and all the other good stuff here. But Thanksgiving weekend looks frigid again. So this is a comparison. Obviously, it's a moving date, so very early last year and later this year. But each of these maps is relative to that time period. So here, 28 November, 1 December, we are looking at the coldest Thanksgiving in 39 plus years, much below average, number one coldest. Precip, again, snowfall up about 260% over last year, fifth most in 39 years, 18th wettest above average, a big storm here. Don't get hung up on that snow again, where the exact snow will be, for sure in the Northeast, but again, whether it'll make it to the coast or not, TBD. But again, definitely another big storm potential here over that Thursday, probably more Black Friday time frame. But again, you can see the very warm Thanksgiving back in 2022 here. Looking at the ocean temperatures here, again, part of this is part of the equation here. We're not probably going to hit a La Niña. Again, it's going to be a weak, gets there briefly, but it needs to last for a few months in order for NOAA to call it a La Niña. So it's going to be a weak neutral phase, and then going back into a solid neutral phase next year. So again, we're getting a weak La Niña-like signature, and that's important because that can mean colder and potentially snowier than if it was a more strong to moderate La Niña. So again, model left there shows, again, barely, if at all, becoming La Niña. Hurricane season's a history book here in about one more week, but again, looks like we're just about done here for the U.S. So it was an active season on every front. Every metric was above average with 18 named storms, 19 systems, 5 landfalling hurricanes, 1 landfalling potential tropical cyclone, so really 6 systems. But again, very active, destructive season for sure. And that was also the case here, as we warned, with tornadoes, the most in 13 years, top 14% of history. Hail was down, ironically, but wind cases, while down versus last year, are still above average. So this, too, is just about in the history books here. Flu is off to a very, very slow start. Again, this time 2 years ago, we were talking historic peak of flu. Again, that purple line there in the chart, again, just historic early flu cases, just off the scale. This year, well below average and well below the last couple of years because, again, so goes the temperature in the southeast where kids go back to school earlier. So goes the flu season. So it's off to a much, much slower start. Starting to see some pickup in the south, again, Texas and the southeast, but again, still way below what we've had the last couple of years. This is the storm track here for that big snowstorm that moved across the country here from the upper Midwest into the Northeast, and historic snows here potentially. I mean, again, parts of the Poconos, Northwest New Jersey, 1-2+ feet of snow. It was an elevation event, really. You could just go from 1,000 feet up and just got plastered, and then not much down below that. But had our first flakes here, again, about a quarter inch, so not too much, but at least it felt like winter. Season to date, this is only through the 22nd, so this doesn't show the full extent of the snowstorm in the Northeast here over the 22nd, 23rd time frame here. But again, picked up some steam here with some snow across the Midwest, Great Lakes, and this is going to get even more. So again, Great Lakes, New England missed some of this storm, but again, you're going to get into it here in the next couple weeks. Looking at snow cover here this morning, again, you can see that snow cover here in the Pennsylvania, West Virginia areas, New York, southern New York. About 16% of us, about average, covered in snow here this morning versus about half that this time last year. We'll look at the 6-day snowfall forecast, and then we'll get into the 2-week outlook here. But 6 days, so again, lingering flurries here with the storm, and then another system in the west. And just beyond this system, you start to see a system moving out of the Rockies into the plains. This may be underdone, actually, for Thanksgiving Day. So there's a late, 1, 2, 3 type event across the plains into the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. Just after this period, Black Friday, there's a potential major snowstorm, again, for the north, not potential, almost certainly for the Northeast. Where exactly in terms of coastal versus where it hit this last time? But again, definitely a big storm right around Black Friday. So just beyond this 6-day snowfall period here. Again, this is just world season date snowfall here. Again, obviously epic snow across Siberia and Canada where they get feet and feet of snow this early in the season. And then this is a telling map, actually, because it shows the change from last year. So all those purples are 300% plus more than last year. So adding a lot more snow, not to say that all these areas above average, but again, a ton more snow than we had last year, which just sets the stage for a colder winter ahead and potentially snowier. Looking at our weekly snowfall trends here, again, these blue bars show where we had more snow than last year here in the U.S. And the light blue line there is just a snowfall index to the right here. So we're going to see a huge surge here. So look at that start of the meteorological winter is 1 December here, and we had a big week coming up here. So again, we could look like we're going to have 5 straight weeks in a row here of more snow than last year, and getting into December, actually a ton more snow. We'll look at the 14-day storm track. You see the big storm exiting the northeast. Another one, take a little more inland route, and then that one that traverses the entire country here. We'll see about Black Friday. But definitely the lake effect snows will kick in big time. So again, it's going to be a very snowy end to November and start to December. Yeah, we'll look at that polar vortex. You can very clearly see this big intrusion hits the Great Lakes. You don't get a full onslaught of it, but this is definitely a big one for this early in the season. Anytime the polar vortex, as you can see here, is weak, kind of weak and wobbly, it perturbates like that. So this is good news if you like cold and snow, because again, it makes an invasion. And again, if it stays weak like this, which we didn't do much last year. Last year it hit mid-January, and that was it. So again, exciting if you like to see a weak polar vortex. That means a storm in winter. Look at last week world summer here, weekending here today. Here in the U.S., 0.3 warmer than last year, warmest in 12 years, 8th warmest in 39 years. A little misleading because the cold came in here in the east right as we got to the latter part of the week. 20% wetter than last year, wettest in 9 years, 6th wettest in 39 years. Snowfall, 88% more than last year. So just a little bit below average, but again, a huge storm there in the Pacific Northwest. That was central pressure of that storm was near historic highs of all time. Cold spot was there in the UK, 10.4 colder than last year, coldest 19 years, wet, stormy. So again, very strong seasonal merchandise sales there. This time of year, we like cold, wet, and stormy because that drives you and I buying all the things we need for winter. Maps and set left or trends versus average. Turkey Day coming up here. Again, they're scrambling, obviously. Look at this week, again, ending the 30th of November, much colder here. Again, this gets progressively colder as we go in toward that, again, Thanksgiving weekend. But nationally, 3 degrees warmer than last year. Again, it was very cold this time last year, but 3 degrees warmer than last year. Nationally, 13th coldest, 39th, so still below average here nationally. Snowfall way up, 31% over last year, most in 5 years, 12th most in 39 years. And precip, again, also up 16.4% wetter than last year. Still a little bit below average. We'll see about that. Might be underdoing this system here a bit. European model is kind of famous for having a hard time for finding cold. It didn't see it about a week ago, and now it sees it like crazy. So it sometimes struggles with these transition seasons. And again, we'll just recap this again, Thanksgiving weekend trend here. So again, it's very cold for the latter half of this week. So again, travel disruptions certainly possible from the Denvers to Atlantas to the New York areas. Definitely got some weather to contend with. So put that into your plans here because it definitely looks risky travel for sure. First week of meteorological winter is 1 through 7 December. Hard to believe we're talking about that already here, but you can see the heart of the polar vortex there in the central eastern U.S., southeast, northeast. Again, warming up in the west. Now, one word of caution here with polar vortexes is if they quick as they come in, as quick as they can come out. So you can get a massive, huge cold surge, frigid surge, and then it can warm up dramatically, as it did last year in mid-January. So we'll see here again. If it stays weak and wobbly, we can continue to get these cold trends. We do believe that the next big cold trend will be more toward Christmas after this event, so the latter week or so of December. So there might be a mid-month warm up. We'll see. But overall, 9.9 cold than last year, coldest in 14th years, 7th coldest in 39 years. 358% more snow, most in 11 years, 8th most in 39. And while drier, again, we'll see about that. Again, I think that's underdone for sure. But stormy start to meteorological winter. Just aggregating these trends here, you can see the cold is across Greenland, and these are high temperatures versus average. Cold across central Canada, eastern U.S., warming up across Europe. Very wet down in Brazil. Again, they'll take it. Their big crops are going in, corn crop, their full season corn crop, and their coffee has been sky high prices, so again, because of the drought they've had over the last few years. So good news for the rains down in Brazil. So that, folks, have a great Thanksgiving. Again, a little longer video than normal, but again, hope you enjoyed the update, and we'll talk to you again next week.